Hello and welcome back to Nerd Doc. The Batman is finally here, and we know a lot of you don't want to be spoiled, so this review will only contain things that have already been shown in trailers. There will be no spoilers in this review beyond general thoughts and anything in trailers and interviews. If you're looking for the Batman spoilers, be sure to check the description below for our coverage of the Batman plot and ending, and what to expect from the inevitable sequel. All of those videos are going live later this week. There are chapter timestamps below if you'd like to jump around to specific points in this review, and if you have any questions about the film, I'll answer what I can in the comments. I won't go into any spoilers here, so save any spoiler questions for the other videos once they're live. Most people are going to love The Batman. It's not a perfect film by any means, but let's be honest. The movie does so much right that it's really easy to overlook any kind of minor issues. If you like The Dark Knight, and if you like the Batman character in general, there's a very good chance you'll like this movie as well. Going into the movie, you should know that this is Batman in his second year, Batman Year 2, as Matt Reeves has said on multiple occasions. This isn't a seasoned veteran Batman. He's still Batman, but there are moments when you can tell he's still learning. The way he interacts with James Gordon and Catwoman, you can tell he doesn't have it down quite yet, but he's getting there. If someone told me that this was a prequel to Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight that takes place between Batman Begins and Dark Knight, other than the change in actors, I wouldn't argue that at all. The timeline of the movie and how the characters act, it just feels a lot like Nolan's Batman films, especially The Dark Knight. Robert Pattinson is fine as Batman. He's definitely more soft-spoken than any previous Batman, but it almost feels more like he's just not as sure of himself yet, since he's only in his second year of being Batman. Watching the movie, I got the impression that if we followed this Batman for another decade fighting crime in Gotham, he would be the assertive, aggressive Batman we all expect. He isn't that person quite yet, but he's getting there. For me, Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman and Jeffrey Wright as James Gordon are the best performances in the movie. Catwoman's fight sequences rival Batman's and offer more technical finesse instead of raw brutality. She's also one of the most sexy and seductive Catwomen that we've seen, and is more realistic than campy. Jeffrey Wright's James Gordon is the most nuanced character in the movie. He's known Batman for 2 years now. While he trusts Batman, there's fear in his eyes. He's willing to go out on a limb and take the fall if needed, but there's some hesitancy there. Almost everyone who has played James Gordon in the past in a live-action role has nailed it, but Wright just seems to add that little bit of nuance that puts him over the top. John Turturro as Carmine Falcone was one of the most surprising performances in the film. He's easily the most mobster version of Falcone that we've seen on the big screen. You don't really fear the Falcone in the Nolan trilogy, but this one is far more straight and to the point. He feels more like the Godfather than just a random street boss. He's the one character I would have liked to have seen more of in the movie. Now let's address some of the minor issues with the Batman. While the action is great, there aren't any standout scenes that I'd want to go back and watch over and over again. There's nothing like the bank robbery at the beginning of Dark Knight, or the Joker's magic trick, or really most of the Joker's scenes in Dark Knight, or the art museum scene from Tim Burton's Batman. There just isn't anything all that exciting as a standalone scene in the Batman. The movie as a whole keeps you on your toes, wondering when the villain is going to strike next, but even the Riddler scenes play out more like a serial killer from Mindhunters than anything you'd want to go back and watch because it was such a cool scene. The movie is definitely entertaining, but no specific scene really stands out all that much. To that point, the film doesn't really break new ground. It feels like Warner Brothers told Matt Reeves to make a movie that combines Nolan's Dark Knight and Todd Phillips' Joker movies. Batman is still Batman, doing all the things I would expect him to do. Other than some of the brutality of the film, there's nothing all that surprising that takes place. There's also an issue with the final act of the film. Much like The Dark Knight, the last 20 minutes or so feels a bit tacked on. It's a great 20 minutes, but it's a little disjointed from the rest of the movie. There was definitely a better way to make a transition into that final act. As I said, all of these complaints are minor and don't take much away from your overall enjoyment of the Batman. It's easily one of the best Batman movies, right up there with The Dark Knight. If you were one of the few that didn't like Nolan's Dark Knight or Todd Phillips' Joker, you may have some issues with the Batman. But those are the only people who I can see not liking this movie. For Nerd Doc, I give Batman 4 out of 5 Arkham Inmates. That wraps up this review. Once again, if you have any non-spoiler questions, leave a comment below and I'll answer the best I can. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the review, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with someone who loves Batman.